Welcome, everybody, to the email growth engine boosting subscribers and revenue. Brian, I would go as far to say that this might be the greatest show on the entire internet. What would you say?
Yes, it probably is. It probably
Probably.
is.
Yeah.
Both sides of the ocean. I'm in Italy, you are in the US, and so we're covering pretty much the whole internet now.
It's correct. And we've tested out every show across Europe, all the way in the States. We can confirm this right now
Yeah.
is the greatest show. So let's go ahead and dive in and let's answer the question of who are these two people on screen chatting with me? Brian, I'll let you start right there.
Yes, of course. Most of you might know me already. I am a book marketing specialist, and my sort of bread and butter is Amazon and BookBub ads. And I am the co-founder, and I actually run bookads.co, which is an agency that helps authors with their paid advertising. And we've been doing that since 2015, works with many authors, and have launched. I should actually calculate this, but I've never actually added them all up, but probably in the millions of campaigns at this point. And so, yeah, so I I needed to have ConvertKit on this event because ConvertKit has been instrumental in our growth, has been the best, tool, one of the best overall, not only for email marketing, but just overall. And I absolutely wanted to show you all the new things they're doing and there's lots of cool things that I'm sure very few of you know about, and I can't wait for you to discover during this session. So that's my intro, and over to you.
Well, thank you so much. We're excited to be here. Well, to let you guys know who I am, I'm Shiv. I'm here from ConvertKit, which we'll talk all about in just a second. But a little bit about myself. I have 10 plus years in entrepreneurship and marketing technology, educating over 20,000 plus small businesses on their marketing and sales strategy. But the reason I'm here at ConvertKit specifically is because I love creators. I love the idea of people chasing after their passion, doing what they love, and making money doing what they love. And so I'm excited to be talking to all of you here today because I feel like a lot of you probably fall into that category. And by the way, the things I love most in life are Marvel, Green Day, and the Chicago Bears. So if anybody loves any of those three things, you'll get extra brownie points with me, basically.
My son is just getting into Marvel right now. He's 3 years old and he's watching Spidey and all that kind of stuff.
He's got quite the journey to go.
Yeah.
Starting right now.
Yeah, and
I love
he's
that.
I'm not too familiar with Marvel because it wasn't so big in Italy until a few years ago.
Sure.
And so I'm not up to speed with all the names and everything. And he's asking me things, and I'm just like Googling,
You're like, I have
Googling
no idea.
characters.
You're gonna have to watch like a TV show / movie every single day for an entire year at this point to catch
Yeah,
up. But
so
it might
many
be a fun.
characters.
Yeah, yeah. Keep like an Excel spreadsheet of all of them. So today's plan, we are going to be going all over the flywheel framework. It's a framework for your business that's going to allow you to go ahead and have different parts of your business flow one into the next. So we'll talk about two examples within that framework. One, how to never run out of content ideas, which is something everybody could use. And number two, how to consistently grow your audience and revenue at the same time. It's going to be the meat of what we talk about. And we'll give you a couple next steps as well. But in order to do what we're doing here, or what I should say is what you're going to get out of taking the steps that we talk about today. Number one, we're going to give you some ideas for how to attract new people to your business. It's one takeaway that you're going to get today. Number two, you're going to take away a page that allows you to collect brand new subscribers to your business. Number three, you're going to take away an email sequence to welcome new subscribers to your business. Number four, at least one other creator. We're going to have you walk away with at least one other creator for you all to partner with. And number five, we're going to create at least one new potential revenue stream for your business as well. Now, in order to do these 5 things, what you're going to need is you're going to need a free ConvertKit account. ConvertKit is an online marketing tool that's going to be the best place as a creator to go ahead and get the word out about your business, to go ahead and communicate with your different fans, and to go ahead and process payments, to go ahead and sell your products as well. So everything we do today is going to revolve around the ConvertKit platform. So whether you're using a different email provider, or if you've never used email in the past, I would still recommend doing it through ConvertKit here because that's going to be the best basis to learn what we're doing today. So we have a link for you guys that we are shooting in the chat right now that you guys should have. So we can go ahead and see at the very beginning, and I'm just going to walk through the creation process right now live with you guys. So that you guys, I would recommend pulling up that link right now and just following along with me and creating your trial alongside this so that we can all be on the same page here. So at the beginning, just throw your name in there, throw your email, and create a password for yourself. And then you'll hit this checkbox and we can hit get started here. Once we get in here, it's just going to ask us a couple of questions here. Number one, are we joining from another tool or not? If you are moving from another email tool, you can hit that and choose the one that makes the most sense for you. But if you're just starting out, you can go ahead and hit that as well. It'll ask you how many email subscribers you have, right? So again, whether you're just starting off with your first subscriber, or if you're a massive creator with 100,000, plus people on your list, feel free to pick the one that makes the most sense for you. It'll ask you for your business name. For me today, I'm going to put my business, Crisp Media, but put the business name that makes the most sense for you. Over here, it's going to ask you your ConvertKit domain. There's a ton of things that we can do with ConvertKit. Some of which that involve hosting different things on your website, like a form, like creating a page for people to fill out their name and their email address. So for many reasons, you might want to have something on a website. Now you can do that with your own domain that you already own, your website, but you also have the option throughout your experience using ConvertKit to instantly have us host that. And so that's what this is. It's asking what is the name of that website if you want ConvertKit to host it. And so you can simply go ahead and pick one here. Usually it's going to revolve around something with your business. I'm just going to keep the default one it gives me here. And then it'll ask you what kind of creator you are, right? So if you're an artist, athlete, author, so I'm going to hit author here, hit continue. And then it's going to ask you, what are your goals in you working with ConvertKit, right? Ironically, we're going to talk about all three of these things today: sending emails, growing your list, and earning an income. So feel free to pick the one that makes the most sense for you guys. And once you hit continue, one last thing, it'll ask you if you have your website or if you have any social media pages. Feel free to add those in there. If not, you can hit continue and we're good to go. We have our trial set up here. So let's go ahead and dive back in here. Again, just throughout the workshop today, make sure you have that ConvertKit account pulled up and follow along with what I'm doing throughout the session, because I think that'll set you up for the most success and you'll really walk away with some tangible things built in the account that you can build off of after the session. Feel free to post those questions over here. Brian's going to be here to help answer any questions you guys have. So feel free to ask what you guys got. And then make sure afterwards to watch that recording of the workshop. We will make sure that gets sent over to you guys. So watch that over there. And of course, take as many notes as you need throughout the session as well, because we're going to be throwing a lot at you guys today. So make sure you pay attention there. Cool. Does that sound good to you, Brian? Are you excited for this?
Yes, very excited. I'm taking notes myself.
There we go. I love it. I love to see it. Well, let's start off by talking about flywheels. So you guys must be asking, this guy said flywheels like 9 times now. What the heck is a flywheel? Well, this goes back to a concept that our CEO here at ConvertKit, Nathan, he was on a retreat in the south of Africa, and they were tasked with creating this well system for this town in the south of Africa. And what they had the choices of for the well, for the actual pump to actually get water out when they were creating this, is they had the choice between a hand pump and what's called a flywheel. Now, the hand pump works exactly like you're seeing right now. The hand pump, it requires a motion, if we think about the physics of it, requires energy to be output by throwing down the hand pump, and the water comes out in a consistent stream, right? And then we have to lift the hand pump back up so that we can get the momentum to go back down. But on that uptick, of course, we're expending energy to go ahead and build it back up, but we're not getting any more results. We're not getting any more water than we would have, right? And once we do that next downturn, again, we're expending the same amount of energy and we're going to get the same consistent flow of water, same results, I should say. Flywheel worked a little bit differently. The flywheel worked in a way where it was quite rigid at first. It's a little bit hard to move, right? Nathan said it actually required the strength of two people to actually move it at the beginning. But once you start getting it moving, right, eventually it became easier and easier, and you could do it with just one person, and then just one hand, and then eventually just one finger, right? And the amount of water, the amount of results that they were able to get after turning it time and time after again was a lot more plentiful than they would have ever gotten with the hand pump. This is the type of business that we want to run with the frameworks that we use throughout our business. The things that Nathan learned through the flywheel is that number one, we want business activities to be circular. We want the momentum to push it forward. So every activity that we have for our business should flow smoothly one into the next. The second point is that he learned that each rotation should be easier than the previous rotation, right? So at the beginning, it required two hands, but eventually it required one hand and then one finger. And each rotation should produce more results than the previous rotations. Each rotation should produce more results for you. So let's think of an example of that. An example of this would be the endless content ideas flywheel. Now, I'm somebody who I actually send a newsletter out to different photographers and videographers to help them improve their videography business. I'm in that wedding space where people are doing wedding videography, and I recently started a newsletter for that business. And when I tell you, when it comes to Monday and I have to think of content to write for my Wednesday newsletter, there are definitely times where I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna write? Like what topic should I write about? I don't have any ideas right now. I've got that writer's block. Something I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. So here's something that I've come up with that I've been employing at the very least. That's really been helping me. Now, through different means that we're going to talk about in a little bit, right? The top of this flywheel starts with new subscribers, right? Whether that's we're getting those through our online forums, whether they're coming through our blog, our YouTube videos, we're meeting them at different events. We're finding different ways to get new subscribers to come to us. Again, we'll talk about some different methodologies in just a little bit. But once those new subscribers come in, we want to go ahead and be in communication with them, right? We want to make sure that they're hearing from us. So we're going to shoot them an email, or ideally a series of emails, right? So as soon as you subscribe to me, you're going to get that welcome email that says, hey, thanks so much for subscribing to the newsletter. I'm so excited to have you part of the community. Let's chat, let's talk. Here's a little bit about me. Here's some content that I feel like will help you. We're going to start that conversation. But somewhere in that sequence, somewhere in that series of emails they get at the very beginning from me, one of the things that I really love asking is I ask them, what's the number one thing that you're struggling with? You subscribe to me as a creator. You subscribe to my emails about how to improve your videography business for some reason. So tell me what that reason is. What are you struggling with right now in your videography business? And what happens when I put that out and I get replies to that email is that I put them in a folder in Gmail. I have a specific folder that captures all the responses to that specific email. And so then when I'm on Monday and I'm writing that Wednesday newsletter and I'm thinking about what content should I write about, what I do is I go through that list. I go through that folder of just emails that have been responded to with all these great responses and questions and things that people are struggling with, my audience is struggling with. And I go and I give a really thoughtful response to that individual person. But then I take that content, and what I do is I write that, of course, into my wonderful newsletter that I'm going to write out really thorough response for my Wednesday newsletter. And I also take that content and then use that to promote the newsletter in Twitter, in YouTube, in Instagram, in TikTok. That is the basis for the content I use to go ahead and get the word out about what they're going to learn about if they subscribe to my newsletter. And inherently, by using that content that I know my audience wants to hear about because they told me directly, that's what helps me gain new subscribers. That's what helps me gain more new subscribers. And what does more new subscribers equal? It equals more struggle questions, and more struggle questions equal more content. And it only helps flow more and more and more, right? I might start off at the very beginning of my journey by only getting 2-3 people responding, but every rotation of this flywheel, I'm going to get 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 100, 1,000. Right? Does that make sense? Brian, I want to ask your opinion of this. Have you seen something like this be employed in your space? And what are your thoughts on something like this?
Yes, definitely. I think one of the things we are certainly going to talk about is authors are sometimes a bit scared of technology. And so one of the things that holds them back is, how am I going to set up this automatic email that you spoke about? So that's, don't worry, guys, we're going to get to that, and it's very, very simple. I can assure you. But in terms of the writing world, the authoring world, the publishing world, the flywheel sort of outline is exactly the same. It's just that there are some parts that are simply called in a different way. So, for example, when you talk about subscribers, an author might think of them as readers, obviously,
Right.
which then become subscribers to your newsletter. Because even if you are a fiction author, you should have a newsletter. And one of the main problems I see fiction authors face is, what do I email them during, a normal time? Whereas I shouldn't be emailing them only when I have a launch, or only when when I'm asking them something. I should be emailing them on a regular basis. And this, the welcome email with struggle question, is perfect for authors as well. On the one hand, if they are teaching other authors, which I know lots of you out there are. I mean, I'm an author. I am teaching you how to be an author yourself, but it can be easily modified related to one of the books that you are capturing those emails from, like, who was your favorite character in the previous novel? What do you like about my books? Who would you like to see in the next book? And things like that, because that obviously builds the pool of the responses, which is the next step. And then you can create content. I mean, lots of authors create content on how they approach the writing process and what their routine is and things like that. But you can also create content that is actually fiction. So maybe a small story about that particular character that people enjoyed, and things like that. It's exactly the same thing. It's just it has a few different names here and there. So definitely recommend this framework.
Yeah, I love that. I love that insight. One thing that really comes to mind for some of the authors that I've worked with is, and we're going to talk about this when we talk about, again, new subscribers. But I see a lot of people slice off, like if they have a book launch, or even if it's an existing book that's not necessarily in its launch phase. I see a lot of people who will slice off like a chapter, or at least an excerpt from the book, right? And use that as collateral to get people to subscribe. And so in this question, right, like you're saying, this can be morphed for those fiction authors, or whatever type of author you are. You can ask directly about, hey, for the sliver that you read, what were your thoughts on it? What do you think? What's your feedback? And that's kind of that engagement that you want, that will tell you, hey, this person is really interested in what I'm doing. And so not only is this going to create this form of content responses that we can use to say, like, here's some questions people have about the book, here's what people are excited about, but it also tells you, hey, this is the type of person that might buy the book, right? This is the type of person that needs to be in another email sequence, another marketing sequence that says, hey, they are the type of person who might buy the book, so let's put that in front of them. Let's put that in front of them in some kind of marketing material. Yeah, love that. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Here's the flywheel that I really want to focus on today. The flywheel that I really want to focus on today is the process of gaining new subscribers through different mediums. So we're going to talk about the one that I just talked about right now, with maybe the new chapter or other different ways to attract people with their email address. We'll talk about partnering with people to go ahead and gain new subscribers, sending them emails, right? And getting them to really feel very warm messages and warm tones about the person that you are and the brand that you're creating. And then finding different ways to monetize the audience that you've created, and then using that, monetization to then ultimately build more and more people to come over to your list. So let's break that down a little bit. Let's start off with brand new subscribers. So when it comes to new subscribers, what we want to focus on, what we want to do to attract people to actually give us their email address, is we need to give them something of value in return. That's what a lead magnet is. A lead magnet is this irresistible free piece of valuable content that people will be willing to give their email address to you up for. Right. So again, that could be a whole host of things, right? So I have a couple of examples, across many different industries, right? Like you can have an ebook, a workbook, You can have some kind of like checklist. You can have a template, like this is a financial creator, so they have like an Excel template. You can have a cheat sheet. You can have an email course. But for a lot of you, right, like I was saying, if you're in the camp, like Brian was saying, that you are teaching other authors, a lot of these might be really relevant, right? You might have some kind of email course on how to have your launch be more successful. You might have some kind of cheat sheet. You might have some kind of ebook or workbook. If you are not teaching other authors and you were just an author yourself, you might slice off again one of your chapters and use that as collateral for excitement for a new launch. You might again do like a side story, a story that builds characters, builds one of your characters out that's not in your original story, but maybe adds a little bit more context to one of the characters in your story, and you could use that as a piece of collateral to get people to go ahead and subscribe to you. I would love to get your thoughts on this, Brian. What are some creative lead magnets you've seen authors use, both in the camp of, hey, we're teaching other authors, and in the camp of, hey, I've just published this book and I want people to read it?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, which means only a few years ago, what some people refer to lead magnets as reader magnets. And I think the content, the collateral content, the extra content is always the best. So a snippet of a new chapter, a free novella, free short story, things like that are always going to be the best, no matter what. But I heard an author once say, if you're old enough to remember DVDs, you remember that there was always a section that was the extras on the DVD. So, for example, deleted scenes or maybe commentary, director's cut, and things like that. So, one good, really, really good way of approaching this, if you can come up with a reader magnet or lead magnet idea, is to thinking of your book as a movie and what could be the extras in that DVD. I've seen many, many authors get very, very creative, and it doesn't have to be super hard. Like, for example, fantasy authors really, really like, and readers like, maps of their worlds. And so you could have a map created and you could have that as a lead magnet. And I mean, with AI these days, it could take you literally like 4 seconds to have that done.
Yeah.
Or, for example, character profile sheets. I know, for example, a very famous author, he essentially created a fake profile, like I think it was the British Secret Service, like if it was like his file inside the organization, and he made it all pretty and looked like a movie, and he gave that away as a reader magnet, and that was very successful. But there's loads of things that you can do. I think the more you write, the more you will need to get creative, because a free chapter won't be enough. And so there's really, really lots and lots of things that you can give away, and we can talk about this in the chat as well.
Yeah, love that that insight here. So once you have that lead magnet, then what you're going to want to do is you need to have some vessel, some way for people to actually receive that lead magnet, right? We're exchanging that lead magnet in exchange for an email address. So we need a place online where people can give you that email address and you can deliver that lead magnet. That's what a landing page is. Simply, that's what a landing page is. It's a standalone page that asks for that email address in exchange for the lead magnet. And this page is dedicated to just simply describing what the value is, why somebody should go ahead and give that email address in exchange for whatever you're giving them, whether that's the map of the territory that you built, a character sheet, if it's a chapter, then you can use this page to just simply describe that. So we're actually going to go ahead and build a landing page together here now. So what I want you guys to do is go ahead and pull up your ConvertKit accounts that you guys created earlier. You guys should see a very similar page to what I'm seeing right here. And what we're going to do is we can hit this button right here, but I'll actually show you where it is in the tool. If we go to the Grow tab at the top left, and we go over to Landing Pages and Forms, that's where I want to have you guys go. Now what we're going to do is we have 2 options. We can either create a landing page or create a form. I'm going to go for create a landing page. A form is simply the actual form that has email address and name. We could take that form and we could put it anywhere we want. If we have an existing website, if we have, another place that we want to put it. But that would be, to me, that's a little bit too busy. Like, imagine having your homepage right? That's talking about a whole bunch of different things, all the different books that you've created, all the different assets you've created. And then you also have a form that's specifically trying to give them the first chapter of a new book that you released. That's great, right? But you're also trying to sell your other books on your homepage. And that's fine that you can keep that as one option where people can come into your list. But I like having a very specific, dedicated page completely describing what this thing's going to be, that it's going to be this first chapter, it's going to be this character, map, right? So that's what a landing page is going to do for us, giving that very, very targeted, specific page for this. Now, once we get in here, we can see a whole bunch of different templates that we can choose from, some really good ones. So we can scroll through and pick the one that makes the most sense for you. I'm a really big fan of this one particular one down here, Purnell. So I usually choose that one. But again, depending on what's the specific thing that you guys are giving out here, you're going to pick the one that makes the most sense for you. But for now, I'm going to choose Purnell here. Now, once we get in here, all aspects of the landing page are customizable, right? So very easily, we can go ahead and change this up. So if we want to say like, get my free chapter now, right? We can give a little bit of a description right there. We can go ahead and maybe add a review of our book if we have, some testimonial that we can give, or maybe this came from one of those emails that we asked, hey, what did you think of the book? And somebody wrote something really kind back about our chapter. We can, put that here. We can give some description about it. But this is going to be where we can go ahead and create all different aspects of the book, of the lead magnet. Now, Brian, I want to ask you, from the lead magnets that you were just talking about, right? Again, on both perspectives, what do you typically see people are writing in their lead magnet, in their landing pages? Do you find that people are really describing their books in a long form, copy, or people fairly concise usually about what the book is about on the landing pages that they put out?
Yeah, with fiction authors specifically, I've seen the best landing pages be super, super minimal. And also because on the one hand, we only want them to click the one button to join our email list, but also with fiction, fiction writers are they're good at writing the book, but they're not too good at writing the blurb or the description. So I have always seen the best ones to be like, get the free chapter of my upcoming book or my new book coming in fall.
Right.
And then, you could add things like, and join my newsletter for, special discounts and things like that. But, people know these days that this is you asking to join your newsletter. It's important for me when I coach people to just let them know, put only the most important elements in there and just get rid of everything else, because what we want is that name and email address.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And I find that to be consistent with almost all types of creative businesses, right? That concise, clear and concise, right? Like every aspect of your marketing journey is asking them to take a next step. And so the quicker you can get to ask of that next step, the better. And so in this case, the next step is simply asking them for their email address. And so you don't want that to be this long, drawn out pitch on why they should give you their email address. It could be as simple as what you just said. Here's my chapter. This book is going to be releasing in the fall, and I would love to give you a sneak preview of it and give you some updates as it's coming out. And maybe at the bottom, we throw a little bit of more about what the book's going to be about, give a little bit of an answer, but we don't need to be super, super verbose in our landing page here. Awesome. Of course, in this landing page, we can control any of the branding elements. So if your book, if your landing page wants a specific style, specific coloring, we can control that. We can control the font and all those elements there. And then, of course, upload the picture of your chapter or your book that would be most relevant to you. But once you have all that set up here, we can go to settings at the top right here. And once we go to settings, what I want you to do is go to incentive. And under incentive, this is where we're actually going to go ahead and give the lead magnet. So the way this is actually going to be delivered, what's going to happen for a specific person when they type in their first name and email address here, is they're going to go ahead and get an email. And this is the email that they're going to get, right? Again, I just clicked on this edit email contents. What they're going to do is they're going to get this email, and we can edit all the elements of this email. So I might instead of confirm your subscription, I might say, get your chapter here. In the subject line, instead of saying confirm your subscription again, I can say, here is your free chapter of, book name here. And then after hitting that button, what do you want to happen? You can simply upload the file, the PDF of your book here. Or if there's somewhere that if there's anything that you're hosting on the web that you want to link them to, you can, of course, put a link here. But it sounds like for a lot of you, we're going to be uploading some kind of PDF. Cool. You get it saved there. And then we can simply hit publish, and you have that link. You're ready to go. You're ready to go with your landing page instantly, and you can go ahead and share that out. Easy enough, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen how easy it is, and not daunting at all.
Not daunting at all. There we go. So once we have our landing page itself, that's going to be one way. That's going to be a massive way that we're going to be able to collect new subscribers. A huge way that people are going to hear about us, and we can start to build this audience of people that might want to buy our book. But another way that we can do that, another way that we can go ahead and get the word out about our book is through the Creator Network. Now, the Creator Network is, let me say this. One of the strongest ways to get the word out about any type of creative business, authors included, are to partner with other authors, right? To partner with other people, other authors that might have an audience of people that would be really interested in your book, right? Because they're interested in certain types of books, that, hey, if they like this author, they'll probably like my stuff too. And so collaborating with other people is the name of the game here. And when we think about, the idea of collaboration, well, then when I think about kind of maybe the hand pump version of that, it's pitching to a bunch of people, hey, maybe we can make a post together. Maybe we can even co-write something together. We can do, work in these different ways, go back and forth and figuring out how you can collaborate together, and take a lot of time to do that, execute on that work. And to me, that sounds like the long form hand pump version of collaboration. Here's a way that you can do it through the flywheel version of collaboration. We just released something at ConvertKit called the Creator Network. Now, the Creator Network, the way it works essentially is that when somebody goes and they fill out this landing page, right, or a form that you create, so they type their name, they type their email address, what's going to happen is that they're going to get a pop-up that says, thank you so much for subscribing. Look in your email for, the chapter that we are going to deliver to you. But in addition, hey, by the way, here are some authors that I love working with, or here's some authors that I also love, and I thought, hey, maybe you would love too. Here's some people that I recommend. And so you can actually select different people, different authors, different businesses that you love, and that can pop up to your audience, to the people that are subscribing to you. They can get those people, that list of people that you love, and with one button, they can go to subscribe to them as well and start getting their messages. And their messages are obviously going to be probably about their books. And so we've been seeing a lot of really big success with this. This is one of our creators, Cordy Wilkes, was saying that he's increased 80%. His total subscriber count, his total reader count has increased 80% since joining the Creator Network. And Ryan Holiday, one of our biggest newsletter creators, said across all of his different ways of driving subscribers to his newsletter, the Daily Stoic, the Creator Network is the #1 way driving new subscribers to his newsletter. It's incredible. It's incredible stuff. I find that what's really cool, the emerging trend I've seen with the Creator Network is I find that people work really well in pods, right? They'll find, so for a lot of you, say if you find 3 or 4 other fiction writers that you feel like, hey, all of our audiences are definitely going to love each one of our books. I find that if you 4 come together, 3 or 4 people come together and you say, okay, we're all going to recommend each other. Well, then as you recommend, one person and they recommend you, all of you grow together, right? The high tide raises all ships and everybody gets to grow together. That's one of the ways that Ryan Holiday is able to make the Creator Network his largest, growing channel. So something that I would think about. But to set up the career network, let's go ahead and follow along ConvertKit. But before I do that, Brian, I would actually just love to hear your thoughts just on the concept of partnerships and the role it plays in the author space.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is, recommendation, which is also word of mouth in a way, is still the number one way to sell a book. Because if you see an ad, it's never going to be as powerful as if Shiv tells me, I just read this fiction book and I just really loved it. Go and see it, and because that's the inherent power of, someone, and if they recommend something, you're going to trust them automatically. And this is why lots of authors collaborate and they share newsletters. So maybe I approach this author who writes in a similar genre and I say, I'm going to mention your book, would you do the same for mine? And then that's one way. This was a very, very big milestone, I think, when you launched it not too long ago. Because I mean, I'm sure people know, but I'll let you in into a secret. This event, you probably heard about it from somebody else, and that somebody else is someone you trust, and so you trust them to give you good information. And they talked about this event, and you clicked on it and you joined. So this is what the power of collaboration is. And to this day, 90% of the subscribers and the people we get to events like this are essentially sent by collaborators and people we know. So
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that so much. So let's follow along here. I'll show you guys exactly how to do this in ConvertKit. So where we're gonna go is we're gonna go back under that Grow tab, and we're gonna go over to Creator Network. Oops, sorry. Now, when we get there, we're gonna hit that big red button that says Join the Creator Network. At the top here, we can go ahead and upload a profile picture of ourselves, right? So let's go and I'll find my headshot really quick. There we go. We can go ahead and put our profile heading. Ideally, that's probably going to be your business name, right? Your byline, right? So you can go ahead and give kind of a tagline to who you are, right? So I might say that I'm an author, or I write fiction novels, right? If I can spell fiction right, then people might know me a little bit better. And then you can go ahead and write your bio there as well. And write exactly, a little bit more long form about who you are there. Now, we also have this wonderful article down here on how to write a sample bio. You guys have a bio there. That same exact thing that we did when we first filled out our account, we're authors, but of course, if you picked anything else, it'll show up there. And then you can also just tell people a little bit more about what kind of topics you cover in the emails that you send out, right? What do you write about? Say that I'm writing a little bit more about, say, like history, or I'm writing about fiction. I can go ahead and put that out. And then this right here is asking what form or landing page do you want this creator network pop up that we were just talking about? Which one do you want this to pop up on when people fill out, right? So of course, we just created a landing page together, so it's convenient. We can go ahead and hit that plus button here and say we want it to show up on this landing page. Okay, great. And then last but not least, the most important part of this, we believe in, we don't want anybody to be in the creator network that's not recommending at least one person, right? Because that's how this whole thing works. We want you to recommend people, and we want other people to recommend you as well. And so we would love for you guys to go ahead and find your first person that you want to recommend. And a great way to do that is if you scroll down here, we can go ahead and filter the creator type here by the one that makes the most sense. So for you guys, it might be authors here. And then we can also filter by the topic that makes the most sense. So again, if we want to go for like fiction authors, we can go ahead and filter from there. But from there, we can go ahead and see all the different authors that are using, the creator network. We can view their profiles, we can see their bios, we can read their content and find the people that align most with what we send out and what we're doing. Or alternatively, another great way, honestly, in my opinion, to go ahead and find the right people, use the people that are in this room right now. Right in the chat, you have a whole bunch of people that are probably authors that are going ahead and creating their ConvertKit accounts. go ahead and collaborate with each other and network with each other right now. Exchange email addresses, exchange contact information, because I think those can be really great people to reach out to and read their content. But once you do find the person that makes the most sense for you, you can go ahead and hit recommend there. And then you'll go ahead and see when you go to my recommendations here, you'll see that you are officially recommending somebody. Now you can be somebody that also gets recommended by other people. Awesome. So I hope that helped out there. Hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and move on to welcome emails. So we have different ways, again, that we have here. We have our lead magnets helping create our audience from our landing page. We have people coming in from other recommendations from other authors that love our content. And so we have people, coming to our list from there. Now we need some type of way to welcome them into our list. We need some type of way for them to immediately, as soon as they come to us, feel warm and welcomed and say, hey, thank you so much for joining us. Here's what we're all about. Here's what kind of author I am. Here's what my content is. So let me just show you guys how to do that inside of ConvertKit. But before I get there, Brian, I would love to just hear your thoughts here a little bit. You're somebody who's a big fan of email in the space for authors. I would love to hear from you what kind of ways people are using email specifically at the very beginning, specifically in the welcoming. Once people have said, hey, yes, I would love to get that chapter, I would love to get that character sheet, what kind of ways people are using email in the author space?
Yeah, one of the best ways, in my opinion, I've seen fiction authors use email, especially in the beginning, is trying to get that reply, trying to get the engagement, and especially when you're when you're just starting out, it will really feel like a normal conversation because you won't have, 5,000 people replying, and so you can really actually start conversations and get to know your fans more and get to know your readers more. So that's one thing, sort of incentivizing the reply, but also trying to, I think, another recommendation is try a few things that are different, because changing the welcome email just takes 2 seconds. And so if you try a few approaches that are maybe even very different, and you see what works and you see what doesn't work, then it's going to help you a lot when you go forward, essentially. But again, I love these new things you've implemented, like you've just explained, because it does make life very, very easy for authors. And like I said, because many are a bit tech challenged, then it really is a game changer, I think.
Yeah, I love that. Easy as a click of a button there. Let's go ahead and talk about this inside of ConvertKit. So I would love for all of you here, again, to pull up those ConvertKit accounts. Now, we have a couple different places where we can send out emails inside of ConvertKit. We can send out a broadcast email, right? So a broadcast is the idea of going ahead and saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and type up this email, hit the send button, and it's going to send out this one time to this group of people that I've selected. Now, that's great for a newsletter, right? Like, that's great to say every Wednesday, I'm going to send out this newsletter. And so I'm going to go ahead and put out this broadcast email to my audience that talks about a specific topic. And next Wednesday, I will have a different newsletter that I send at that time to that audience. Now, that's different than an email that is going to be automated. An automated email is saying every single time that X happens, I want an email or a series of emails to go out to my audience. So, for example, I could say every single time that somebody goes ahead and subscribes to that newsletter, right? They go ahead and get that lead magnet that I just pulled out. So when they fill out a form of some kind and come onto my list, I want them to get this, hey, thank you so much for subscribing and welcome to the community. I want them to get this welcome sequence. Right? It doesn't matter if that happened yesterday, today, 5 years from now. I want them to get that welcome sequence. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys automations today. But again, the process of building that email, when you're actually in the email builder, it's very similar. Now, when I click on this button, right? So again, I went to automate and then visual automations. I can see that I can create a new automation here, or I can hit this button that says templates, this block. Now, when I look at templates, again, I could start from scratch, a blank canvas, and build an automation, but we have tons of pre-built automations as well. pre-built automations that'll give you the basis for what you guys want to use. It'll give you the basis for what you guys are looking to do, right? We actually have a couple that are related to what I just talked about. Release a new book, pitch a book with your free chapter, right? There's so many different things that we can do here. Really, really powerful stuff. The one that I specifically want to show you guys today is going to be welcoming subscribers to your newsletter. But I would say really poke around all these different, options, because there's some really, really powerful ones here. But I'm going to go ahead and hit create, use this template here because people are going to come onto that list. So we're going to go ahead and welcome them in some kind of way here. Now, again, what I was talking about right now, if you guys remember before, and the tip that Brian just said, he was just talking about, hey, when people come on, we want to go ahead and welcome them in with some kind of question, right? We want to go ahead and ask them what they think. We want to get their feedback, but we also want to maybe tell our story and, balance it out with, what we're doing. So we're going to create multiple emails inside of this automation. We're going to get a sequence of emails, and I'll show that to you in just a second. Now, when people get into an automation, there has to be some kind of start trigger, some kind of doorway to know that here are the specific people that should enter into this automation. That's what the first step is going to be here. It's going to be, hey, what is that doorway into this automation? Now, for this one, for this automation, we have people filling out some kind of landing page. So what I can do here is if I go over and go to edit step right there, we can actually change what that is. We can control what that is. Now you can see through the drop down that we have different forms that people could have filled out to get into this specific, automation here. So maybe they filled out the creator network form. Maybe they filled out that landing page we created before. We actually have a form that just got created because we created this automation. But I'm going to just go ahead and say right now, let's say any form. Let's say any form, because it doesn't matter if they came in through the, creator network, or if they came in through the landing page that we had just created. Regardless of where they came in, we do want to welcome them here. Later on in your journey as a marketer, we can, of course, get real specific and create specific automations for very specific ways that they got in, but there's no need for that logic at the beginning. Honestly, I like to say walk before you run. And so I would say, go ahead and say any form that people fill out, they're going to funnel into this automation here. Now, where I want you to go ahead and click, I know that you're probably wondering, what is this yes or no path? What is this? It looks a little confusing. I'm happy to explain all that in just a second. But where I want us to go ahead and focus our attention into is the newsletter intro right here. So let's go ahead and click onto newsletter intro. The first thing I want you to do when you click into newsletter intro is at the top here, let's go ahead and hit template. Let's go ahead and template. Just like we could control the templates of the landing pages that we were just talking about, we can also control the templates of the newsletters and the emails that we're sending out here. So we can scroll through and pick the one that makes the most sense for us. I'm going to go ahead and pick this story one. Pretty simple template here, but one that's very effective at the beginning. Now, for me, the thing that I love doing at the very beginning, like I said, is we're going to send out a sequence of emails. And so in that very first email, right, if we imagine what the reader is seeing right now, the reader just filled out our landing page. They got an email that gave them that first chapter that they were promised, right? And then they're going to go ahead and receive this email. And this email, I would love for them to get a little bit of a sense of who am I as an author? What kind of books do I have? What kind of readers do I have, right? What kind of people love my books? And so I might say something like, welcome to blank author, right? Welcome to my emails. And I might go ahead and tell a little bit of a story here of how I got into the world of being an author and what kind of books I write. I might even link some of the books over there, right through there. Now, when we look at the right-hand side here, we can actually add multiple emails to the sequence. So if I hit add email, I can actually go ahead and put in another email. And we can see here, this is adding a second email to the sequence. So in between each of these emails, we can control how long it's going to be between getting those emails. Say maybe this is going to be 2 days later or a day later. But here's where maybe I can ask that question. Hey, what did you think about that first chapter? Right? It's been 2 days since they've received that chapter. What did you guys think about that first chapter? What were your thoughts? I would love to hear you guys, tell me a little bit more what you think. Respond here to let me know a little bit more. right? Every email that we're sending out, every message that we send out to people should have some kind of action that we want them to take. So in the first one, again, maybe it was to check out a little bit more of our books, a little bit more of the content we have. Maybe in the second one, it's to respond over to this email and say, hey, what did you guys think about that chapter? Let me know, here. Brian, I'd love to get your thoughts here on that sequence. The balance between promoting your own books and your content, and then asking that question and getting some engagement at the very beginning of that sequence.
Yeah, I think it varies a lot on what stage you are. But the one thing I would say, I hear a lot of authors say, well, I'm not even, like I've got 10 subscribers. This doesn't really make sense. I can still manage them in Yahoo or Gmail or whatever. But my reply to that is always, yes, you probably can now. But when you get to the point where you cannot cope anymore, it's going to be late, because you will have to have some kind of automation in place. And again, seeing that it's so easy to set it up, why not set it up immediately and have things running smoothly right from the get-go? Another thing I wanted to say was, yes, by all means, the number one email should be, information about you, information about your books and things like that. But also, I think if you have other things you want to let them know about, that should be the place where you can essentially let people describe. Another very powerful thing in ConvertKit, which we might not have time to talk about, is tagging. So if somebody clicks on a specific link that you have into your email, it's like as if you place a little tag on them. And for example, you have a link on checking out your writer's retreat in Italy. And then when people click on that, they will be remembered inside the system as interested in the writing retreat in Italy. And so that gives you lots of possibilities, which again might not be too easy when you're starting out. But if you start collecting all this data, then it's gonna compound and get very useful. And
Yeah.
I can see you doing it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And that's the real power of using email as a medium here, right? The real power is we can get really hyper specific to an individual person and what they're interested in, right? We should treat the people who went ahead and read your first chapter of a very specific book and got that lead magnet. We should treat them differently than the people who have clicked on the writer's retreat link. They both want different things, and we can keep that data and use that data to go ahead and get them what they want, right? And get them, the content that they're looking for. Yeah, love that. Awesome stuff. So once you go ahead and have that created here, right, we have, the different links that we want to go ahead and create. We have the different sequence, right? And we have, again, we wait in between our emails. We can wait for specific amounts of days and times here. We can go ahead and publish our changes there. And then going back over to this automation, I did want to just talk about the power of what tagging can do with what Brian was saying. So one example of how tagging can work for your business really well here is in this example here. If you are somebody who, of course, is if you are writing a lot of books, right, or if you have a lot of different ways for people to get onto your list, right, then you're going to have a lot of different places, right? A lot of different forums that people can come onto from. And you probably have that first email, right? We have the sequence we just created that's going to welcome people in. And that very first email we have is going to say, thank you so much for being a subscriber for the first time. We're so excited. Let me tell you my story as an author, and let me tell you everything about me. That's an email that I only maybe want to send to the people who are for the very first time finding out about me. But if you're somebody like me and I'm your biggest fan, right? So I'm probably going to go ahead and, put my name and email address down for every single time you have a first chapter that you're releasing or a different form. Then I might go through this automation 2 or 3 or 4 times, right? And so what this is doing right here is you can see when people go ahead and get that first email, that sequence we just had, we're going to give them a tag, right? Like Brian was just saying, we're going to put a piece of information on their specific profile in ConvertKit that says, hey, this person has already gotten that first email intro sequence. They've gotten that email content before. Now, what this is going to do is, again, this is going to happen every single time somebody fills out any form in your business. And so when I fill out that second form or the third one, the fourth one, what's going to happen is a question is going to be asked to me. And a question saying, hey, has Shiv already gotten this email sequence before? Does he have that tag that says that he's gotten the sequence before? If no, that means this is the first time that I'm ever getting your emails, and I'll go down this path to get that first email. But if yes, then maybe I should go down this path where I can write a separate set of email sequence, a different email sequence that would get sent to you. Maybe this one, right? Like I like to say sometimes that if you have a new reader, then you don't want to bombard them with like 6 different things, right? Like, hey, here are 6 different books I have. Here's every event I have. Here's everything going on in my life, and check it all out. You might want to just ease them in a little bit and say, here's, a little bit about me. And here's one thing I want to tell you about this one event that I have coming up, about this one book I wrote. But if this is a returning fan, right? If this is a returning reader, then maybe you have a little bit more leeway to put a little bit more of your resources in this email. So in this sequence, maybe in the first email, I might actually link out to a couple of different things and be like, hey, I see that, thank you so much for being an avid reader of mine. Love to see that you're getting my next chapter. Here are a couple things that, here are a couple resources I have. Here are a couple of my books. Here's some of my events. Feel free to click on what makes the most sense for you. And that will be a little bit more of a targeted specific email to that person versus the person that just is the first time hearing about you. I'd love to hear about
I think this is very, very important because with fiction, even if you write a novel now, when somebody discovers it in 2037, it's new to them. Even though, that's the power of fiction. There's not like a nonfiction manual that might be outdated. When somebody finds your book, it's new to them at that point. And so this is specifically important when you have a few books out, because you don't want people to go down the wrong route, essentially, and to make them feel welcome in the right place at the right time, if you see what I mean, with all this structure. And as you can see, it's not hard at all. It's just learning how to view this view, so how to look at the visualization so that you understand that, okay, if something has a tag, then do this, otherwise do the other thing. So
yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, that's what I have for you guys for the email here. What I would love to talk about now is monetization. I'd love to talk about the process of taking the subscriber base that you've built and different ways that we can monetize that audience. Now, the first of which I want to talk about is advertisements. Now, again, this is really hyper going to depend on the type of emails that you're sending out, right? So if you're sending out emails that are very centered around a launch, right? And you're centering around, hey, here's, some emails in hopes that you buy the book, and here's some free chapters. That is going to make a lot of sense. This might be a little bit more geared towards if you have consistency in your emails. And I think there's a lot of reason to have consistency in your emails, to have that weekly, monthly, say, newsletter as an author and as a writer. And so if you have that consistency that people are opening your emails, then what you can do is similar to how you can advertise inside a podcast, similar to how you can advertise inside of a YouTube video, we have a way for you to programmatically advertise inside of your emails here at ConvertKit. Now, the cool thing is that we work with a team of people here that will make it easy as a click of a button for you, basically. So we'll do the hard work for you to find advertisers that make sense for your emails based on the content that you write. This is just a couple of numbers from some of our big newsletter creators. This one is one of our larger football creators. Again, these two are fairly large audiences. I believe this creator over here has around 600,000 people on his list, and Sahil Bloom, one of our larger creators, has quite a bit as well. So they're getting in the 200,000 to 300,000 opens, and you can see how much money they're making per email here, right here. But this might be a little bit closer to if anybody's in my camp here. I have about 1,000 people that open my email newsletter on a weekly basis, because I send about 3 times a week. And so per email, I'm getting about like 300 to 400 opens. I get paid off, in a rate of about $15 per 1,000 open. And so even to say that like I'm getting around like that, $60 to $80 per month range, for simply sending the emails that I would be sending originally already. And every time I'm growing my audience, that rate is going up and up. It's a great additional revenue stream that I can add to myself as a creative business. And the name of the game for any type of creative business is to create as many new revenue streams as possible to be able to build up to what hopefully is a full-time income here. So this is a really great way, I think, to passively go ahead and add a revenue stream to ideally messages that you're already going to be building and sending out in your sequence. Another way that you can go ahead and leverage this, and something that might make a little bit more sense for you guys as an audience, is similar to how we were just talking about with the creator network, that you can go ahead and refer people, and then through those referrals, right, they'll hopefully refer you, and you can go ahead and grow your lists together. You can also go ahead and do that in a paid fashion. So we have a paid recommendations network through ConvertKit. And what that allows you to do is look through a sequence of people, basically a registry of people, and you can see different authors in there as well. And you can choose authors that you want to recommend, and those authors will basically list their budget for you to recommend them, and they will pay you for each recommendation that you send them. Right? So maybe they'll say, hey, we will pay $1, $2, $3 per recommendation that anybody sends us, right? And so you put, basically, instead of having this advertisement in your newsletter, you would instead have a section that says, hey, I really love this author. I love their books. I love what they're writing. If if this sounds like a really cool book to you, here's a little bit, a blurb about their latest book. If it sounds cool to you, click here to subscribe to their messages, right? And every time that somebody clicks that, you will get paid out for sending them a new reader, a new subscriber, right? It can be really, really powerful stuff here. So those are two ways. I can show you where those are inside of ConvertKit just to sign up, but I'm not going to walk through them, a ton. But for the first one, if you want to just go to convertkit.com/sponsor, and if you go ahead and hit apply for access, then that's what will send a message to our team that you want to be, getting ads in your newsletter, and we can go ahead and approve you from there. And then for the paid recommendations network that I was just talking about, if you go over to Creator Network, you go to My Recommendations, then you can go over to Settings. You can go ahead and set up those paid recommendations over here as well. And similar to how we have a Discover page here, you'll see a Discover page there where you can find different authors that you would want to recommend. Now, the other two ways that I want to talk about here is I want to talk about, product sales and paid newsletters. Now, this is probably going to be the most relevant example that I can imagine. Brian, if you can give me some better context here, but the best example I can give here is what I'm going to show you is a way to go ahead and build sales pages in which people can buy different products from you inside of ConvertKit. Now, the best example I can think of is you probably want to sell a book. You probably want to sell your book. Yeah. But if there's other examples that are a little bit more relevant, I'd love to hear from you, Brian.
Yeah, definitely book. Also because on your own, the commissions are sort of non-existent. The Amazon commissions don't exist, and all of the other retailers. And selling on your own website, so selling direct, as they call it, is a very, very big trend among authors as well, especially because Amazon has been fiddling with the royalties they give. So books, by all means, but also different formats of the same book. For example, large print might come to mind, or audiobooks, or maybe spiral bound for people who want that. So other formats that it would be a nightmare to sell on the big retailers, you could do on your website.
Right on. I love that. Where I just went to is I went to earn, and then I went to products. And after I go to products, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new product. Create a new product. I can go ahead and simply title the product. So this is going to be my book title. When we go ahead and see we have a couple different options for how we're charging for this product. We're probably going to pick the one that says pay once and have access forever. The subscription is probably more for if you had a membership, if you had some kind of product in which people would pay every month, every quarter, every year on an ongoing basis to have access to. So for this one, we're going to say pay once. We have a couple different options here, again, of a one-time price. There's an option to do more of like a tip jar model where you say customers pay what they want. Or you can even say like if there's monthly installments, of some sorts, if it's a big ticket item. Here, I'm just going to say set one-time price this at $20. Now, and we can of course pick our currency as well. Over here, we can say, how do we actually deliver on the fact that somebody is buying this? And so if this is a digital book, right, if this is an ebook that they're buying, then we can go ahead and simply upload it there. It's probably the easiest way of delivery, right? So that we can go ahead and instantly have them receive it. There's no need for fulfillment on your side. But of course, if there is, a physical product and you want to go ahead and take that process, we can go ahead and say something else here, and then we can go ahead and take care of the fulfillment on your side. But for now, I'm just going to say a digital download, and then we can go ahead and upload that. So let's pretend like that screenshot is your PDF of your book.
Yeah, when I mentioned the different formats, it was also different formats in digital. For example, the digital version of the large print ebook, for example, you could sell that and then people could print it out, or they can go to a print on demand service. We've got a lot recommended on our site as well, and then do it that way. So that's just to clarify.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd actually love to ask a question here, Brian. Just out of curiosity, what about like you were just talking about the direct sell for the actual book? What about audiobooks? Well, as far as
definitely
the same thing, I would assume, with the commission that you can get from just direct sell and uploading the MP3 here, rather than doing it on like Audible or a service like that.
Yeah, definitely. Audible has been very, very strange in recent years, especially in the way they've paid the voice talents that read the book, but also the creators or the authors. So that's lost a bit of traction. Of course, it still has a lot because it's Amazon, so you can find anything on there. But there are new players in the game, and also, like I said, selling direct is becoming huge. And that's why also this ties into the reader magnet, lead magnet idea, because you could potentially have, this is a bit more advanced, but you could potentially have one reader magnet that is free. And once they opt in for that, you could potentially have a little upgrade that is paid. Lots of things can happen when you're on your website and on your own email list, because you can do whatever you want essentially. And that's the main goal for us, is getting people off of the retailers because they don't give us customer data and onto our own email list.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good insight. I love that. Okay. Yeah. So whether that's again then an MP3 or if that's your PDF that you're putting out there, we can go ahead and hit digital download. And then this is again where you can go ahead and select that domain, and we can go ahead and create our product here. And then you have full control. You have full control over the process in which the sales page looks like, the checkout page, the confirmation, and the receipt email that they're going to get at the end. It's very similar to the design of the landing page builder that we just walked through, where we can control the image that is being uploaded. We can control the styles of the titling and the description that we're putting there. So you have full control over all these elements. And of course, what the button says, right? So maybe we say like, get my book, buy the book, right? So we have full control over these different elements. And then once we're done, we can publish there. Of course, it's going to take you through just a setup wizard to set up payments. So once I hit publish, it's going to ask me to set that up there. So you can go through the process of making sure you can actually get the payment set up so you can collect money after somebody goes ahead and buys this. But it's as simple as that. From there, you would have your link that you can start to put on social and your emails to go ahead and process payments for your book. Awesome. The last part of the flywheel that I just want to highlight here and I want to speak to a little bit is the opposite side of the paid recommendations that I just talked about. So similar to how you can go ahead and go out and get other people to recommend other people for money, right? So you can say, hey, I will shoot you over to $2 or $3 per subscriber. I will make that money and give you subscribers. You can also use the money. So what we see a lot of people doing is they're whatever way that they're making money here, whether it's through the books, whether it's through the paid recommendations, right? Whether it's through, sponsorships. We are seeing a lot of people take that money and invest it back into different ways to grow their audience. So whether that's saying, hey, I would love to be on the paid recommendations network, so I will be willing to pay $1 per subscriber, $2 per subscriber, or if that's, hey, maybe you taking that money and putting on Facebook advertisements or, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, YouTube ads, and saying, hey, the call to action on these ads is, hey, go ahead and subscribe to my newsletter. We're seeing a lot of people do that because once you complete the flywheel and you have new people coming in through your marketing and new people on your email list, well, then that's only going to make the flywheel go again faster and produce more results. That's going to make it so that when they get to this step again of monetization, you're only going to make more money. Now, I do want to just make a quick call out. There's quite a high threshold to use the paid recommendations network in a way where you're asking for new subscribers and you're paying out. You need to have a minimum spend of $5,000 per month. So if you're not there yet, I would say, again, you could leverage this by doing advertising again, by putting out your newsletter or your books as something that you advertise on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and then make that call to action to go ahead and fill out the form to put their name and email address down. But that's what I have for you guys. Brian, I want to hear your thoughts after seeing the total flywheel, how you feel like this resonates with authors and why this can be a very powerful system for them to grow their business.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, the new features you've launched recently have been absolutely great, and I think it really is. It feels like it's custom made for authors. And I know the founder of ConvertKit, Nathan, is an author himself, so I'm sure some of that has come from him. And so recommendations, like I said, is the way to go forward, especially when you're starting out. And so this is absolutely great because it's tapping into someone else's already existing network of people or network of readers that is really going to move the needle. I run an ads agency, and more, even if I am saying this, it's getting to be difficult to run ads if you're starting out and you're starting out like from zero, because these ad platforms want you to have a basis of sales. They want you to have a basis of conversions before they sort of amplify your ads. So the easiest way is to, in 99% of the cases, free, tap into other people's networks and sort of share what you have to tell the world, and do the same in return, of course.
Yeah, love that. As a next step, ConvertKit truly is, I believe this with my heart and soul, the best place to earn a living as a creator online. And so we have a couple different paid plans, but what you guys are using right now is usually we have a 14-day trial, but we're giving you guys 30 days to use all the features of ConvertKit with what you guys just have here. And then at the very end of those 30 days, then you can go ahead and decide if the platform makes sense for you or not. There's a couple different paid options. There's a free option as well if you want to continue using on those features. But I would really challenge you guys in those 30 days, especially when it comes, like Brian was just saying, to the recommendations, right? Because that can move the needle so much, and that can really help. It's just one of the fastest ways to go ahead and get people to hear about you, your books, and to recommend other people as well. I would poke through the Creator Network, use it as quickly as possible in your 30 days. And I think you'll be shocked to see how much you can grow your list within just a period of 30 days in the free trial we're giving you. And then you can decide from there. If this is going to make you money, then keep it on board. Awesome. Brian, any other closing thoughts here before we wrap up?
No, that's it. Again, I love ConvertKit, and I really wanted you guys to be on the event. Just as context, I was with ConvertKit in the beginning when ConvertKit used to have another logo and used to be the old ConvertKit. And I remember receiving I remember receiving the welcome pack with a T-shirt and stickers, and that was like blowing me away. And then as my business grew a little bit, I did move over to another company. But the news is I'm back, and I've been back for more than a year now because I've seen the value of these new features, for example. But also simplicity. I mean, you move to things because you want all these new, I don't know, super in-depth features that you don't really use. And I like the the straightforwardness that the ConvertKit has, and I'm a big fan.
We love to hear it. We love to hear it, Brian. Thank you all so much for joining us today on this. And hopefully we see you guys in the future. If you guys have any ConvertKit related questions, by the way, feel free to email us at help@convertkit.com. We're happy to help you guys out with anything at all that you guys have. If there are any ConvertKit users, actually, also, by the way, that want access to the full feature suite, if you're on the free plan and you want access to these 30 days as well, also email us at help@convertkit.com. We can help you get set up. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Thanks, guys.